Americans are crazy about sport. In fact, last year, more than 30 million of them tuned in every day to watch the Paris Olympic Games. And much of the interest came from big names in women's sport, like Simone Biles, the gymnast, or basketball stars such as Diana Taurasi, or soccer players like Sophia Wilson. For many, they are now household names here in the United States. Women's sport has grown exponentially. And while it might seem like equality is closer, there's still a long way to go in the battle for greater visibility, commercial sponsorships, and equal prize money. On Long Island, New York, Brooklyn FC have their eyes on the ball. In their second year in the USL Super League, a Division I women's professional competition, they sense opportunities not just on the field, but off it too.
The time for women's sports has arrived, and I think the time for it to get exponentially larger is here.
Brooklyn FC's Chief Marketing Officer Tom Lyons says he feels the excitement among sports fans and credits what he calls the tailwinds from the rising popularity of women's basketball and the US women's national soccer team. Two of the team's stars, Kelsey Hill and Catherine Zimmerman, have noticed brands are becoming more interested in working with female athletes.
There's so much more opportunity. I think the fans and getting all the noise around it and everything on social media, having the TV deals, there's so much more.
It's just created so many opportunities for us to be employed playing soccer. And yeah, I'm definitely fortunate. I'm nearing the end of my career, so I feel like I'm getting the tail end of that opportunity.
TV ratings for women's sports have grown significantly. In 2024, more Americans watched the final of the Women's College Basketball National Championship than the men's. And that success presents major commercial opportunities. Research from the consulting firm McKinsey found that between 2022 and 2024, revenue from women's sports grew 4.5 times faster than that of men's sports. That same report revealed that women's sports could generate at least $2.5 billion in value for rights holders by 2030, but it also noted a number of obstacles that would need to be overcome for that to happen. One is what McKinsey partner Ben Vonwiller describes as fragmented fan attention. Simply put, women's teams are fighting for attention in a crowded market.
There's many more sports properties available for a fan to consume. And what we are seeing with women's sports fans is that when they pick up women's sports, they're not dropping another sport. They're simply adding it rather than substituting. And that means there's much more competition for their attention.
Vonwiller believes another commercial challenge facing women's sports is converting what he calls casual fans into avid or more engaged fans. The report found that 39% of women's sports fans consider themselves avid, compared with 69% of men's sports fans. And avid fans generate significantly more revenue.
They need to create more avid fans to look more like men's sports where the spend is highest. And they need their casual fans to become less casual. And by that means watching more games and attending more games. That will be a meaningful driver to closing the revenue gap.
We're headed to New York University to meet with Gina Antoniello. Gina is an academic director and an expert in sporting culture. Gina has worked in the corporate offices of some of the biggest sporting teams in the United States, and she's watched the shift in women's sport closely. She describes the growth not as a moment, but as a movement. The result of years of important activism, but she warns there's still a long way to go.
With sponsorship revenue up, that's great, but it's still at 8% of entire sponsorship budgets. With women's sport coverage, it's up. It's centered in, with great broadcast deals at primetime spots. The broadcast revenue is being priced a lot lower.
And the push for equality isn't just happening on the field, but at team headquarters too.
In 2019, I became one of the first women in the history of American professional football to oversee a football communications department. So why is that in 2019? I don't like to, think I'm that old for that to happen. So what we're seeing is exclusionary power.
Back on Long Island, Brooklyn FC, excited about the future, is aware of the challenges still facing women's sports. Chief Marketing Officer Tom Lyons says there's often an assumption that women's football teams are doing well commercially just because other sports, such as basketball, are. But he told us basketball is about 15 years ahead of women's football in its commercial success. Kelsey Hill says women athletes still face significant pay disparities with men. In many cases, their professional sporting contracts pale in comparison to those offered to men, and many are unable to earn a sustainable income through their sport alone.
If we graduate and pursue a job or work or anything, with our degree, we would be making a lot more money than we do playing soccer. A lot of my teammates are working second jobs or trying to have an additional income because it's not really enough to support us fully.
She adds that when it comes to resources, some situations are better in the US than in her experience playing overseas, where her club's men's team was given access to a training facility her team couldn't use, and the men were provided cars while the women rode bikes to practice. Despite the challenges that remain for women's sports teams, such as Brooklyn FC, they're both enthusiastic and optimistic about the future. Their league is being televised, allowing new audiences to engage with what Tom Lyons calls an incredibly good product. The franchise has partnered with several Brooklyn-based sponsors to grow the brand among the 2.6 million people who live there. And they're hosting themed match nights, including one where fans can bring their pets. Women's sports may be growing in the United States with more money pouring in and more people picking up their TV remotes to watch their matches. But there's still a long way to go. And it's the same story across the Atlantic.
This year, England's Red Roses won the Rugby World Cup, once again propelling another women's sport into the national spotlight. Its governing body wants to turn that success into 100,000 female players by 2030, up from 60,000 now. But off the back of that success, it says the stakes have never been higher. But in order to succeed, they'll have to tackle the issues that are still keeping women and girls away.
Inner City London Rugby Club, the Hackney Ladies, was founded in 2010. The same year, women and men's rugby came under a single governing body in England. Sport is less popular in general with women, but examples of elite success are translating into new interest.
This year, it's just taken over. We've already had about 25 new sign-ups in our first month, which has meant that people like me who used to play are stepping up and coaching.
Here, power, strength, aggression and competitiveness are all valued as essential to success, which is a mind shift for a lot of new female players. But despite the increasing awareness and interest in the women's game, there's a way to go in public understanding.
It's inherently been a traditionally male sport, so I think there's people that look at you and think, do you know what you're doing? I mean, whenever I play it, I get asked questions, oh, is it proper rugby? Is it contact rugby? Things like that, and they're always a little bit hard to stomach.
These weekly training sessions at a dedicated sports club are a world away from public parks where research shows women feel twice as unsafe as men and where concerns about being watched, judged and harassed or even a lack of toilet and changing facilities mean public spaces rarely offer what women want or need. The split experience for women and men who play sport is one that goes right back to childhood. Research shows an adult's relationship with physical activity in later life is related to how active they were in school. Unfortunately, the transition from primary to secondary school is a time when even sporty children start to opt out, with a particular drop-off amongst female pupils.
We'll have students who will truant or will skip PE, often bringing a note claiming that they can't take part or strategically not come to school until after PE lessons. But it also could be through disengagement whilst taking part in the activity where they may cause trouble to be sent out, or it could just quite simply be that they're passive and they take part but don't really enjoy it.
These Year 9 students, aged between 13 and 14 years old, are sport leaders at their school, meaning they've thought a lot about how PE could be made more appealing. From better accommodations for managing periods to which sports they play, there's a lot they think could be changed.
We teach a lot of different sports to primary school kids, so some ones that are more fun and more enjoyable rather than just like the standard football, basketball and like rugby.
But one of the biggest issues isn't even around doing sport, it's getting ready for it.
I was like really anxious about like getting changed, and I would like wear my PE top underneath my school shirt so that I wouldn't have to like take my top off on that.
I used to struggle a lot with just not participating in PE because I didn't want to get changed, or I didn't feel comfortable to get changed.
Okay, so this is your changing room. So how many people will be expected to change at one time in this space?
So it's 60 people, 30 on this side and then 30 on that side.
Okay, and this is where you go before your PE lessons, your physical education lessons?
Yeah.
And how much time do you have to get changed before those?
Normally it's about 10 minutes depending, but some people get let out of lesson late, so they only have like 5 minutes.
So it's rushed, it's cramped.
Yeah.
And what other kind of issues do you face in here?
Well, the big thing is that everyone, kind of to do with the cramped, everyone's so close to each other. Some people go round through that and they hide because they don't want anyone to see them getting changed.
Research by the Sweaty Betty Foundation, a charity founded by the activewear brand of the same name, found a quarter of secondary school girls had skipped PE on multiple occasions due to anxiety around their changing facilities. So this school in southwest England joined a competition to reimagine their facilities, winning $3,000 towards an upgrade.
So in order to try and address some of the problems that you mentioned, you came up with some solutions, and this is a model you've made with the other girls to try and come up with a new idea for your changing room.
Yeah, exactly. So over here, we've got our mural, and then over here we've got our like individual changing rooms, which would mean that everyone could be like, they could be protected and they could feel like they were in a safe space without loads of people watching them.
Outside school, UK charity Women in Sport has paired with 100 leisure centres to offer girls an alternative to the more rigid structure of formal education. They call it the Big Sister Project, physical activity led by girls, for girls, to bust the myth, they say, that teenage girls are innately averse to exercise. It was rolled out nationally last year, and now 7,000 girls are Big Sister members, with half the cost covered by the charity. Leading today's session at a leisure centre in South England is 11-year-old Poppy, who's a fan of the setup.
Probably being in charge, just being in charge of everyone, because I quite like doing that. I like being bossy sometimes.
They decide amongst themselves what sport to do, what music to play, and what exercises to follow. Fitness instructor Talia also joins the sessions. She's qualified to keep everyone safe, but it's the girls who are in charge.
They get to teach, they get to lead, make new friendships and just interact with each other. Some of them know each other from school, some of them didn't know anyone. They'd be really shy, but now they're confident, loud, as you've probably seen.
On the sidelines, I met Ellie, Ivy and Jess. All three had been coming for a while and said they preferred it to PE.
This is actually fun, because in PE it feels like they're judging you and stuff, but here no one is.
Normally playing football with boys, then it feels like a lot more pressured and dirty. So then if I just do football here, then I know that no girls are gonna slide tackle or just be mean or judgeful.
In PE there are the sporty girls, the girls that are not
It feels like
sporty.
they get treated better than
because the teachers actually like the sporty girls, so they're the ones, and then you have to go run laps and stuff. It's just a bit not fun.
All the people we spoke to emphasise that whether it's playing a traditional team sport or finding other ways to keep active, tackling the barriers that keep women and girls away from sport will be essential for a physically and mentally healthier society.
Imagine being forced to flee your homeland just because you're a woman who dares to play sport. Female athletes from Afghanistan faced that tough choice when the Taliban retook control of the country more than 4 years ago. The lucky ones managed to escape, many of them starting a fresh chapter here in Australia. For Firuza Amiri, cricket is more than just a game. It's a passion that has shaped her life. It has also made the 21-year-old a target in her home country, Afghanistan, where women and girls are now banned from playing sport.
It's not only about playing cricket and escaping from reality. Sport always gave me a voice, and I use that voice to always say that we belong on the field.
The talented batter is working on perfecting her skills alongside her older sister, Nazifa. They're both former members of Afghanistan's national team.
So we always share together everything. The way she wants to be a professional cricketer, the way she's fighting for women back in Afghanistan, that's always made me proud.
Thousands of people tried to flee Afghanistan in 2021 when the United States withdrew troops after nearly 2 decades of war and the Taliban returned to power. Firuza spent weeks in hiding as the new regime hunted down female athletes. She's one of 19 female cricketers who received an emergency humanitarian visa to escape to Australia. This shirt, the only thing she brought with her.
They were checking the houses. First thing I did, I burned everything, all my cricket gear, my medals. The only things I couldn't burn was my Afghanistan t-shirt. That means so much to me. Every time I looked at it, I cannot give up on cricket.
Firuza has since made good on that promise, stepping out onto the field for a local premier club in Melbourne.
Firuza's always positive, so she comes every week to every training, every game with an amazing positive attitude, and it actually empowers the rest of the girls.
This year, the Afghan women's team finally reunited for the first time since beginning their lives in exile. They're split between the cities of Melbourne and Canberra, some 650 kilometres apart. The players recently returned from a training camp in India during the Cricket World Cup, where India's women's team made history by winning the tournament for the first time. The International Cricket Council funded the trip, but the players also want cricket's global governing body to let them compete together as a team. The Taliban's refusal to let the women play means the ICC won't officially recognise them as Afghanistan's national women's team. Some have criticised the body for continuing to fund Afghanistan's men's team, despite the country's ban on women in sport violating the ICC's own membership rules.
What about us? We just wanted ICC to support us, to help us to come to a stage where we can represent our country and have the same opportunity as men.
The ICC has not responded to our request for comment. In support of the women's team, Australia is one of the countries refusing to play bilateral series with Afghanistan.
International sporting bodies and governments who host international sporting tournaments have a responsibility to not legitimise the Taliban.
Researchers tracking violence against women in Afghanistan say hundreds of women have vanished, and their relatives often punished for defying the Taliban's orders that restrict women's freedoms. But they also say sport can offer a powerful platform for change.
Afghan women are not always victims, they're also change makers, as we see with our athletes. They don't say we play, they say we fight. They are challenging the Taliban's narrative about women's body.
These athletes have spent 4 years rebuilding their lives in the heart of one of Australia's largest Afghan communities. They say they won't give up on the sport or on girls back home.
I feel we are like a voice for girls. We receive too many messages from girls. They want to be cricketer, they want to join this team. And this is really, give us that more hope to fighting more for this team.
Also fighting to prove themselves are Taekwondo athletes Taiba Akbari and Hadija Rezai. They earned their black belts training together since they were children in Herat.
With all of the challenges in Afghanistan, we did 13 years of our life in Taekwondo. We fight against the injustice to girls. We need to represent ourselves, our gender in our family. It's not like just Taekwondo, it's life. It's love for me. I cannot live without Taekwondo.
After losing their opportunity to represent Afghanistan, a Melbourne training centre has taken them in. Head coach Ali Rahimi is helping them hone their skills.
It's Korean martial arts. When you're learning Taekwondo, you're learning self-defense, confidence, fitness. You need to learn everything, not only physically, mentally. You're going to prepare.
But chasing their sporting dreams comes at a cost.
When I evacuated Afghanistan, I was happy, but I was sad too, because I left my country, I left my family.
Being away from the people they love, the most difficult part.
Hello.
Hadija calls her family daily, staying connected despite the distance. But in Australia, these athletes have become each other's family. Together, navigating many challenges, including learning a new language and adapting to a different culture.
I'm safe now. My life is safe now. At the beginning, it was very hard, but after the 4 years living in Australia, now it's getting easier to me.
They say Taekwondo will always have a special place in their hearts. Their goals are evolving. Taiba is working towards representing Australia's Pumse team, while Hadija has her sights set on training the next generation.
My message for women out there is you are strong, you should believe in yourself. Sport is not just for men, it's for everyone.
A cause they say is worth defending.